I'm here with Pete Hogg today, and this is the podcast of Tala Skills Agency. The main subject is going to be the future with AI now being part of our day-to-day activity and life. Today, Pete has been one of my guests because he's an expert in the field, having a background of several success in marketing, now involved in automation and AI to help those businesses to adapt and basically navigate with this new reality. So, Pete Hogg, thank you for being here this morning. Maybe I know you don't have a lot of time, so maybe we can dive in directly and then start with a quick introduction on your end.
Yeah, cool. Happy to. So my business is called MQL Flow. MQL is marketing speak for marketing qualified leads. I started out the business as specifically a marketing automation service, but as I've grown, it's become more involved in more general business process automation, and specifically building AI agents and doing transformation projects, including solutions architecture and integration projects for many businesses, predominantly in the B2B space. But I'm sort of moving into the B2C space. I've got a couple of clients in that area. And so my background is both working in marketing agencies, where I started my career, and then I spent about 10 years in the recruitment sector, which is obviously how we know each other. So actually my client base is actually largely made up of marketing agencies and recruitment agencies, although not exclusively. So yeah, I'm sure I can probably go into a little bit more detail about how I got there, which I think would be quite interesting. But that's my intro.
Yes, great. Well, thank you, Pete. And I think I'll definitely get more insight from everything that brought you here today in what you do. I've always wanted to ask you a question, and it's that time at ProClinical. I mean, that time where you had a focus on marketing, developing, the strategy to have more click, more visibility, and actually also generate income from this marketing side. How did you position yourself with the competition? How did you make it better?
Yeah, so I mean, interesting with ProClinical. So I started there when it was very much still a startup. So it's now an international market leader across many countries and many markets. So when I started, though, it was very much kind of like there was three of us in the back office. That we had finance, we had kind of office management and HR, and then we had me, who was taking care of marketing and operations. I'd just come off the back of a career as a web designer and had done and studied in digital marketing. So I was very much on the technical, but also like a little bit more leaning into the strategic side already. And I think the expectation on me at the time was just to, do a nice brochure, help build the new website, the kind of the very sort of base level. But I had much bigger plans in mind for building a much more strategic approach to things. And even right from the start with the website build, I was looking at things like, how do we leverage the CRM system and connect them together so the leads flow backwards and forwards, and we have the data for the email marketing and all this kind of stuff. So I was from the start, I was very much in that space. And the other thing I identified as well at the time was a tool called HubSpot, which back then most people hadn't heard of, and it wasn't a CRM; it was a marketing automation platform. And as a sole operator across marketing and operations, as you can imagine, I was spread quite thin. So automation for me was the first thing that I realized, the power, how powerful that could be when I brought HubSpot into the tech stack and was able to start automating the emails, automating the responses, and actually like that really for me was that light bulb moment. That's like having a new hire. It's like having like now we call them AI employees or AI workforce, but actually like this was the genesis of that for me. So actually I was able to get a lot more done by utilizing automation. And the other thing that HubSpot did was they built the word inbound, right? So they're that's what they're famous for, and it's about, rather than just like broadcasting messages, It's about getting people to come to you, so the people who are looking for you. And there was a real kind of SEO strategy that took hold around that time as well. And most people in recruitment were not doing SEO, or they were not doing it well. So by having this kind of like a free education from HubSpot as part of their onboarding, they've now built that into a whole thing, HubSpot Academy. So you can get like these HubSpot Academy certificates. But back then it was all part of their onboarding. So I had this kind of like, you know, market leading education and market leading tool right from the very start, which we built the foundations of that marketing strategy around. Through the SEO, we were able to bring in thousands of candidates through applications, and then eventually, when we pivoted the strategy more towards focusing on clients, we started bringing in not just the type of clients that the recruiters were typically looking for, but the companies that no one had heard of, the stealth mode startups, and you know, the guys who didn't even have a website but were looking for a recruitment company and weren't getting anybody who was reaching out to them. And this kind of helped form, change the business strategy really in some respect, to actually focusing more on those smaller biotechs and building out that kind of like getting in there at the early stage and helping to build those leadership teams, which then create that ongoing pipeline for putting candidates in place in other roles as well as the company grows. So, you know, this was a kind of like almost like a one thing led to another approach. And I think it was it was very obviously, you know, the leadership team realized that these are the types of companies that were coming in and the type of success that we were getting from them. And as I say, like, I think, you know, particularly in the US market, which, you know, we've got a huge market out there. We started bringing in a few US biotechs, and it only takes one or two of those before you realize the opportunity and the size of the opportunity out there.
Of course. I mean, I think when I'm listening to this episode of your journey, that you've been ahead of a lot of things. You've been envisioning how this could become a great thing and how important and impactful it could be for the agency at that time. So maybe we can track back towards what you've been through and what had made you move from one job and one position to another, because I think that your journey has been a bit going in different direction. Even if the same goal was to be impactful, maybe you want to tell us more about this.
Yeah, definitely. So my career, I studied graphic design in university, and my first role in marketing was actually a marketing agency, which was a very print focused marketing agency. And these guys, this was in 2008. There was two things that happened in 2008 that kind of shaped this. One was the financial crisis. So the company that I was working for, our investors had some financial trouble and couldn't support us in the way that the business had originally been set up to do, which meant that we had to adapt as a business and find new revenue streams. And the other thing that happened in 2008 was it was really like it wasn't the foundation of the web, but it was really from a small to medium sized business perspective. It was when everybody decided, actually, we need a website, right? So this was an opportunity, and this print led marketing agency adapted in order to basically start building websites for people. And that was where I actually had to learn how to code from a book. Right, not from like a course, not from not from the web, and you know, or using AI now to learn how to do stuff. Like, actually, I still have like I probably still got it in the bookshelf behind me somewhere, like HTML for dummies, like learning how to write code. And so this was my first introduction to, you know, the technical learning how to build. And there's that adaptation piece, which kind of led me from, okay, now I've learned how to build the website. People want to know how to get visitors to the websites. They want to know how to convert those visitors when they're on the websites. And then, you know, so we start going down the line of digital marketing. We start going into, you know, things like SEO, paid ads, user experience on the website. And then we go, okay, well, now we've got those people, you know, how do we connect them to our CRM, you know, that kind of stuff. So it kind of, you know, one thing kind of led to another. went back to university very briefly to do a postgrad digital marketing, and from that, I was when next time I was looking for a job, my CV was found by a recruitment business, so this is how I started in the recruitment sector. Worked there in house, and again, I think that one of the great things can also be a frustrating thing for anybody in a recruitment company who's not a recruiter, is that they're basically responsible for everything else, right?
Yeah.
So,
Quite
it's,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, the distinction of departmentalization that you have in larger enterprises in most sectors does not exist in the recruitment sector, right? So you have to be adaptable, you have to be flexible, you have to be willing to figure stuff out, because quite often you are the kind of like where the buck stops, right? There's no manager who's more experienced than you to lean on. I've come in and, a couple of years as a web designer, like maybe like 3-4 years as a web designer, come into this kind of digital marketing role, and the expectation was that I knew marketing, and I would take hold of that. No, with no one to lean on, but as I say, people like HubSpot and my degree and things like that. So yeah, I think just that adaptation piece of being able to go, right, okay, so I need to figure this stuff out. I can't be defined by my role, by, okay, this is my lane, and I don't kind of go into any other areas. I don't think that really exists, particularly in that startup environment.
True.
From the marketing sector, I was able, because I had that background, which is a bit more technical, I was able to, when I finished my career, my role at, wanted to move on from the recruitment sector, I was actually able to transition into the software sector, and work for an AI agency, an AI agents platform, startup, which is a Series A backed software startup with an AI agent product.
Yes.
And again, being a startup, having that direct line to the CTO who developed the product, real AI experts who I was able to kind of leverage their understanding of the industry at the time. And again, this was like, you could call it luck, you could call it like getting kind of maybe not foresight, but like getting onto something quickly, like early adoption.
Yes.
Because as I joined that company, it was around about the time that ChatGPT really started taking off as a mass market product.
Okay.
So, again, it was scary because loads of competitors sprung out of nowhere. But it was also like, this is really exciting because I'm at the forefront of this. I'm understanding this. I'm in a position where, there's so much going on, and I'm literally living it within this industry.
This is great, because now I understand. Sometimes, you're gonna have these heavy loads of work to do, and if you don't have the right direction on which tool to use and how to operate, you can find yourself overwhelmed quickly. So I think that you being in that world of understanding how we can use the different tools and how we can be more performant and more productive, this is definitely something unique that most of the company will be doing the queue to get, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, we thinking about AI now as well, and it's a scary time for people in marketing. I think not just not just with AI, because there's other forces as well, right? So economically, there's the two things that get cut first, right, are marketing budgets and hiring, right? So if you're marketing in recruitment, or you're doing if you're doing marketing recruitment or recruitment marketing, like these two things are going to get hit from both angles. I think when you're if you're working in marketing now, I think just, as I say, that adaptability and understanding and learning how to use those tools is going to be so critical and fundamental to keeping a great career within that sector.
Yes.
Because what the other thing that we're finding now, Valence, is that we're finding the abilities that or the skill sets that the marketeers have had and that have brought to the table for many years through 1,000 hours of Photoshop, or 1,000 hours of using Premiere Pro to do video editing. Like all of these kinds of skill sets, they're being democratized for anybody and everybody now, right? So I think that's the biggest challenger, is that people now don't necessarily need that person to execute. However, somebody who is great at using those tools and has that creative mind and experience as a marketer, and has both of those things, will still rise to the top and will still be in demand. So I think that's something that people need to be cognizant of when they're thinking about, like, is AI a threat to me and to my role? So actually, if you can add that as part of your skill set in order to use those tools, that's going to stand you in good stead, because you're still going to be ahead of those who can use it without you.
Yes, and then talking about that, so what has been the greatest challenge that you faced using AI and automation?
I think expectations is probably the greatest challenge about the capabilities of AI. A lot of what I do is not. It's not based. Like, AI is not the center of what I do. What the center of what I do is like solving a problem, and quite often the problem is that there's a clunky process which involves several people communicating backwards and forwards via email, and information gets lost, or you have people copying and pasting information from one system, or exporting and importing. Like for me, like, these are all like unnecessary tasks to be done, when we can actually just connect the systems together. So adding AI to that is really just the only places I will put AI into that are areas where it's necessary. So for example, you could just do a straightforward rules-based integration and an automated workflow. And if you don't need AI, you don't add it, right? I think that the challenge that I have is that people get on the AI hype train and go, I need some AI in my business. You design a solution, and they go like, which part is the AI? So I think it's the expectation of that. And I think the other challenge that we have as well is the amount of software companies now that are springing up, who are essentially just built around one AI model with an API that calls into it, and like that's great from their perspective of from innovation. But what that does is it creates a flood of tools in the market, which makes it very confusing for companies to choose the right tools. You've got like if you're comparing tools, you're quite often looking at a much broader selection and struggling to differentiate between them. So these are, again, the challenges that I think people are facing when it comes to navigating the sector.
So okay, so let's just get back to what you just said. People are gonna get confused between automation versus AI. So maybe you want to give us kind of a basic definition of both, so people can understand, people listening can understand clearly what it is and how it should be the best used.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, so for like automation, like I think back to 10 years or probably 12 years ago now, when I brought HubSpot in, right? So we had a rules-based, when this happens, make this happen, send this information from here to there. You could have, say, for example, an email with dynamic fields in it. So insert first name, insert company name, etc. Like that would be classified as automation, because it's a rules-based system with a trigger and an action. When we're using AI, and I'm talking specifically about large language models, so generative AI and even things like image generation, video generation, that kind of stuff as well, we're actually able to do a lot more with that workflow. So we can now say, okay, rather than just put in those those tokens of like insert first name, last name, whatever on from the data, we can now generate a personalized video, for example, and embed a personalized video into that email. When we're also using AI to be adaptive as well. So the agents that we build, it can be anything. So AI agents, again, it's a really broad term.
Yes.
Anything from, I have AI agents which will read and interpret my emails and take action based on the content and context of the email. Whereas like an automation might be a bit more rules based, like you're used to with if you're setting up an Outlook rule to say if it contains this keyword, then put it into this folder, right? So then when we're using AI, we're not just looking specifically for a keyword, we're looking for like what is the content and context of this email. We can classify it in a myriad of ways, and then we can even have a response to that email generated, which is tailored and personalized and specific to the original content. So like this is where we've come from, and this is where we're now at in terms of like where I think it's useful to start adding generative AI into the mix, as opposed to just using a standard rules-based automation, which is what we've been doing for years.
Okay, so it's for the grand work. AI will definitely have its place, because you can put prompt, start to bit more strategy.
That's right. And I mean, and just doing other like amazing things as well, like with AI agents now. I'm currently working on a project where we're using computer use agents as well. So they don't just pull up information. They can go and browse websites and take information from there. They can they can do big research projects for you. They can we're getting to a point now where you can ask it to go do research, or you go do tasks for you on the web. So like this has gone way beyond automation. The other thing I would say though is I think on the flip side of that, one of the areas I focus on quite a lot is actually trying to remove the human from the process where it's not required for them to be there. It's great to have a human in the loop for checks and balances, but often when people use AI and they think about ChatGPT or Gemini or whichever model they're using, they're physically sat at a computer. They're actually physically doing the work.
Yes.
And actually, that's not like in my opinion. You may be automating an image generation, or you may be automating creating some text, but your time is still used to do that. So when we build AI into an automation workflow, we can have the prompt that's already set up, and we can set up in a way where it's adaptive to the information that's being received. So here's the trigger, and we use the email example again. Like here's the trigger. When this is received, decide what action to take. Write the appropriate content, post it out to the appropriate channel. There's so much more that we can do, and it actually takes the human out of that step. Now we can have a human check, as I say, like write the content, send it to the human to check. They click a button to say approved or edit, and then it sends it off to you by email or to your website or wherever it wants to go. So you'll have that in there, but like there's a difference between that and just typing prompts trying to get AI to do something.
Definitely. So today, I mean, everyone is trying to use AI. No, most of them, they don't have this technical knowledge of how to proceed. Let's say you have a CMO tomorrow who comes to see you and who say, how can I best utilize AI and automation? What would be the type of advice you usually be giving?
Well, it always starts with what's the challenge that you're trying to solve. So I will offer like a strategy to say, okay, let me examine what your current process is. How much time do you spend on those processes from a manual labor perspective? What's the cost of the labor that you're using? And then you can straight away you can start to look at, okay, if we can automate the system, like let's look at the cost of building an automation for you there. We can work out our return on investment because we know how much time and money is being spent on that process currently. But it all starts with that, okay, what problem are we trying to solve? Are we trying to save money because you're paying for, you're outsourcing the work to an agency or to a VA, or you're paying a supplier to do that, but it could be automated, so we're saving that money? Is it a case of, okay, we want our team to be able to rather than hire somebody, we maybe want to, because they need somebody, but we haven't got the budget to actually bring in support. Like let's take some admin off their plate. Like what is it that was the problem that we're trying to solve? And that's why we map out those processes from end to end. Like, what's the existing process look like? Okay, let's identify the steps along the way that can be automated, and let's say, okay, what's like where's the input, where's the output, and then how do we connect that up into an automated workflow? So it's this, but it always starts with, like, what is the challenge we're trying to solve? It's never how do we get our AI into business.
Great. This is great. Okay, thank you. And then I think that I've seen something somewhere saying that soon, in some times, we will have this one person business billing 1 billion. When do you think that will be happening?
Yeah, so that was a Sam Altman prediction. So he's the CEO of OpenAI. I think I have that on my website. That might have been where you've seen it.
Yes.
So yeah, I think it's a really interesting concept. I don't know whether it's I mean, with the rate that inflation's going at, right? It's probably not a billion is probably not as far away as many people might think, right? But when we look at, like, can you run a business with just one person now and using AI? Yes, but not $1 billion business, right? The capabilities of AI are improving all the time. It seems like, upgrades seem to happen in dog years rather than human years, right? There's with the new releases, everybody seems to be racing. Potential safety issues around that, but I think a lot of companies are not too concerned about that right now. Maybe they will be, regret that in the future, and there'll be some unintended consequences. But I mean, I think it's more. It's not so much like that I necessarily agree that this will happen eventually, or it's like it's imminent or anything like that. It's just a case of, like, the principle behind that is that actually, like, do we need to do we need people to run every business? Maybe just like, or can you have one person orchestrating many things using AI agents? And whether that's on, like, a complete organizational level or on a departmental level, I think certainly on a departmental level, there's probably a case that, for some departments, you probably could just have, like, a head of who orchestrates the agents and has the oversight of the outputs. You probably could do that with some small businesses in those departments right now. Like, so I think we're speculating on the progress of AI, and we're also speculating on the ingenuity of people in order to make that a reality. And I think that's one of the other exciting things about what I'm seeing now, is that because the job market has been disrupted by AI, people are starting to become more entrepreneurial. People are starting to really learn how to utilize these tools in order to to run their businesses. And we're not seeing it at, like, $1 billion unicorn level, but I think we are seeing it from an SME or a startup perspective, where we're not talking about large businesses who are trying to add AI into a legacy system. We're talking about AI first businesses who are built from the ground up with automation and artificial intelligence, machine learning in mind. And that is, I think so we're at that kind of genesis point of, can one of those businesses eventually become a unicorn? And even if it's like only with a skeleton staff, it doesn't necessarily need to be a one-person unicorn, as Sam Altman predicted. But I think, I think we could be looking at a reality. And when you look at the VC money that's going into the software sector, we're certainly seeing a shift in that sector of being the amount of employees that you had used to be like a status symbol of
Yes.
growth and a measure of, how many employees do they have? This is a metric for how large the business is. But I think the focus now for the VCs and the startups is how lean can we keep this company? How small can we keep the costs? What can we automate? And this is this is where we're at now. So I don't think it's a stretch to go from there to, can one of those companies eventually become a unicorn with an extremely lean team?
Yes. I mean, you've almost answered my last question, to be honest. Given that you've been in the Series A environment where everything is the birth of the vision, the mission, and how it's envisioned, and given that it was AI, my question is, today, should we worry about AI involvement in our day-to-day task, in our day-to-day activity? Is those company focusing on AI services and product? What's the aim? Is it the aim for us to be more productive? Is it the aim for us to be replaced? I think that's something that people are quite concerned about. Maybe you have an input on this.
Yeah, it's an opportunity and a threat at the same time, right? I think it's a little naive to think that it's not going to impact the job market. I think it's naive if anybody has started thinking AI will never take my job. I always say never say never. Like, there's, there are limitations in terms of capabilities, and if you are a top level professional in your industry, then you're probably going to be okay. And I think there will always be demand for humans to do certain things. I use the analogy of, like, if you go to like a posh hotel, right? Or compared to if you go to a budget hotel, you walk to the budget hotel, the door's open for you, right?
Yes.
You go to a posh hotel and somebody opens the door for you, but you have a human being opens the door for you. So this is there was a premium level of service that is associated with human service as opposed to automation, and this plays out in other sectors as well, like the artisan craft sector. Like, if you want to buy a beautiful vase for the home, you can buy something that was manufactured in a factory, or you can have something like a skilled glass blower or potter, created. Like, there's a higher value placed on the latter, right? So,
Yes.
so this is going this for me is there's a precedent for this playing out when it comes to AI.
Okay.
Low to mid end market of, if you're bang average at what you do, then there's a good chance that AI will replace you. So what I would say to those people is, like, be adaptable, learn lots of different skills, learn how to not just go, okay, not to define yourself by your role and be like, I am a copywriter, or I am a videographer, or I am like a specialist in SEO. Like, if we define ourselves too tightly, then I think we're in a real danger of AI encroaching onto our territory. But if I think that there's an argument to become, more generalist and to learn new skills. And I always advocate for, like, continuous learning anyway. But to be able to say, okay, so this AI is a threat in this area, so I'm going to do this, or learn how to use these tools in order to protect myself or improve myself in this sector. So yes, in that respect, it's a threat, but it's certainly an opportunity at the same time. And as I say earlier, democratization of certain tasks. If you are the type of person who's usually you're frustrated because you can't get your ideas out because the agency you're talking to just, you know, you maybe they're not quite realizing your vision. Well, now you've got the tool to go and do that yourself.
Yes.
And actually, so I think that there's both of those things are true.
Excellent. Well, Pete, thank you. Thank you again for taking the time this morning to give us so much insight. I mean, I definitely have so many other questions for you, but
I could talk forever if we didn't run out of time.
yeah, I think we will definitely have another time to talk more. I will make sure to share in the description your contact. I believe you're someone with vision, you're someone who's an expert in your field, and that everyone who wants to know more about it from any different department that involves AI automation should definitely have a chat with you. So thank you for this insight. That was Tala Skills Agency to talk about the future of AI in our day-to-day tasks. Thanks again, Pete, and have a good beginning of the week. It's September now. Everyone is back to the office.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to speak to you, Valance. I enjoyed
Great
it.
to speak to you.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye-bye.